AEW Revolution is in the books, and my goodness me, what a show AEW put on. They are on a roll in 2026. There is absolutely no doubt about it. So many matches, of course, with AEW, but so much stuff happened during this pay-per-view. It's going to be probably going to be a long-winded review of this. Today. So want to get rid of the pre-show stuff straight out of the block. I didn't see the pre-show apart from the Battle Royal. So just a quick rundown of the other matches. AJ Boom and QT Marshall, Boom and Doom. They beat the Infantry, Sean Dean and Charlie Bravo. With that, and that was just a Boomsday device. They hit it with Willow Nightingale did beat Lana Cross for the TBS Championship. However, Megan Bayne did come down and deliver a beatdown at the end. Now, remember, Willow Nightingale is also defending the Women's Tag Team Championships against Lana Cross and Megan Bayne with Hardy Cameron a little bit later on in the show. So a big post-match beatdown there, which is quite interesting considering that tag team championship match a little bit later on, which was a very very good, well, very very good thing for them to do. Weaken the champions, part of the champions, no doubt about that, which was a great idea. By the way, I think it's a great idea. For AEW to do that. I think it's a good idea considering, they were meant to be champions anyway. So it wasn't exactly, uh, you know, probably happened late, should have sooner rather than later. Well, did it happen? That's the question. We'll get into that in a minute. Right. 21 man battle royal for Ricochet's national championship. This was a bit crazy. Was it 21? I don't even know. It was blackjack anyway. We had Ricochet, Ciampa, Jack Perry, Trent Beretta, Rocky Romero, Dralistico, Roosh, Scorpio Sky, Danny Garcia, Anthony Bowens, Hook, Shibata, Juice Robinson, Ace Austin, Austin Gunn. Those are the officially announced entrants in there as well. We also had El Clon. He was in there because he was one of the last three. Um, People. I thought this was great. There were so many back and forth sequences in this. Now, usually with battle royals, and it is quite difficult because things fly around everywhere. People don't always get their chances to shine. There was a long sequences in here between Jack Perry and Ricochet that I really, really enjoyed actually. As battle royals go, they're very, very good. I really enjoy what I like about AEW and Battle Royals is they seem to deliver on them. That's what I would say. I enjoyed it in a lot of ways because they had a lot going on them. It wasn't just in out, which you sometimes get with Battle Royals. They did have a lot going on. It was very exciting. And obviously, Ricochet being the champion, it always, people don't like Ricochet, which is great. He is, Ricochet just is a funny guy, and I say this all the time. They really, really did. Um, he really, really has come into his own since AEW has been a perfect fit for him. That's what I would say. I think that's a crazy, crazy, crazy a lot of crazy decision, but it was a crazy move for him, but a move that worked. They fit like a glove. Anyway, rambling on. It was a great ending actually. So Ricochet has Jack Perry on his shoulders on the apron, and Jack Perry hits a poison Rama on Ricochet to win the match and become the new national champion. That was a turn up for the books, I can assure you. Not a lot of people in the prediction league predicted that one because we didn't actually have it as a prediction, but we were getting sent all the match cards and people were predicting Ricochet to win, but he didn't. But Jack Perry, who was driven to the ring by Luchasaurus in his, a green bus, I think it was, picks up the victory. And that kind of went into the show. And that's another great thing about AEW sometimes. You're watching the pre-show, and to get you to buy in, no pun intended, because they do the buy in on a double or nothing. the feed cuts halfway through the pre-show into the main show. So you kind of if you really want to see what happens in the Battle Royal, you gotta buy the event. I think that's great. That's a great piece of marketing from AEW. Sorry for being a bit business like that, but it really, really is. Anyway, um, Beast Mortos eliminated himself during this, I have to say as well, to be honest. Super entertaining start. Jack Perry's feet did almost touch the floor, by the way, before he kind of reorientated himself with that Hurricane Rana, I must say. But really, really fun. And a great way to kick off Revolution, really, when you think about it. You're coming in, you're kind of mid to three quarters away through a match, and like boom, straight into the action. Thought it was fantastic, and congratulations to Jack Perry. And then, what way does AEW kick off the show? Kick off the show with probably one of the or two of the greatest tag teams in a generation. FTR, the Young Bucks, the Jackson family are at ringside as well. I like the fact that the kids they all pulled the signature pose off the Young Bucks. I thought that was a really nice touch. Um, the match itself was unreal. They've never. I thought the first match at the All In, be it I was just out of hospital at the time, but I thought that was a little bit of a letdown. I thought it took too long to get to where we needed to get to. The other matches that they've had have been absolutely stellar, and this one may have been the best yet. I would say. Both teams on here carried the fans through what I would class as an emotional roller coaster of a match. The action, I would say, was never in doubt, but after the first match that they had, wasn't quite sure. Um, did like the FTR hitting both members of the Bucks with a suplex. The Young Bucks hitting both members of FTR with a suplexes from the apron to the outside. Um, there was a lot of bloodshed from Nick Jackson on here as well, I must say. Uh, you know what? They're just absolutely incredible. It really, really was an incredible. But finally, and it took a while, but finally we got the finish, which was the Shatter Machine, an Avalanche Shatter Machine, I might add, onto Nick Jackson and the FTR. Basically, win this match and go down as the greatest tag team of the new millennium, and to compete in both in AEW and WWE, in my opinion. However, just when you thought this couldn't get any better, the lights go off and the rated R superstar Adam Copeland returns. And I'll say the word again. However, he was not alone as Christian Cage returns with him. They hit the kill switch and the spear on FTR and they hold the championships while staring a hole through the Young Bucks. Now, three of the greatest ever tag teams. I've got visions of WrestleMania here, and I have visions of TLC. Are we getting TLC in AEW with Copeland, Christian, FTR, and the Bucks? But incredible match, and when we get that to top it off with Copeland and Christian returning was just out of this world. Really, really was. What a great start to Revolution for AEW. So much stuff. So, but that was just the opening match. I mean, it's just incredible. Now we go from there to the women's division in AEW and Tony Storm and Marina Shafir. They've been on a collision course for some time in this. And if people have been criticizing Marina Shafir's in-ring action or quality of in-ring, shall we say? So if that's how you feel, if you're gonna give her anybody to work with, it will be Tony Storm, and it was solid. It was so difficult to come off of that what we just witnessed and go into that. I felt sorry for the positioning of the match card, the match on the card after what you do. If you look at the run sheet and you're after the Young Bucks and FDR, you might as well just pack up and go home. Um, but it was still, It was still a solid match. Tony Storm was selling Shafir's move like her rent was due. Um, that is, I honestly really enjoyed that because she was making Marina Shafir look like a star with her selling in this. Really, really was something to really, boost this match up even further and elevate Marina Shafir, which may have been the idea of this match. I don't know. Anyway, and like these types of matches with facing Hill, where the Hills moves are having a big effect, you kind of have to win it. Maybe it's by catching them off guard, and that's exactly what happened here. Tony Storm catches Marina Shafir off guard with a small package for the win. Here's where things turn strange. Tony Storm collapses on the apron, similar to the ending that she had with Mariah May. Uh, as she was doing it, there's a commotion going on at ringside. I'm like, what's going on here? What's happening? Why is there this noise? Ronda Rousey, remember her? She's got a fight coming up soon. She calls out Tony Storm. I don't know if there's a bit of confusion with the when she was pointing at her or whatnot. But she goes back to the ring. She goes breast to breast with Ronda Rousey, shall we say. Security intervenes, and Marina Shafir takes out Tony Storm with a cheap shot, and then she reunites with Ronda Rousey. So is Ronda Rousey a Death Rider? Are Marina and Ronda going together as a team? Is Ronda Rousey here fully? We all don't know what the hell's going on. Massive surprise. I don't think anyone agreed. Is this just a whole, I need to hype my fight up, so I want to come on here? I don't know. And that's, I suppose that's the beauty of it, really. Um, but I have no clue what she was doing there. And I don't know what the hell's going on. To be quite honest, I was dumbfounded. But listen, this could be good. Ronda Rousey back in a wrestling ring. Who knows what could happen here in AEW? And excuse me, it's really early in the morning, so the old cup of Joe, so to speak. Yeah, what the hell's going on? Ronda Rousey in an AEW ring again. She was in Ring of Honor before. Crazy, absolutely mental. We'll have to watch Dynamite this week, folks, to see what happens. Yeah, intriguing, and this is a good thing. This is what we don't want the obvious, So very good. Kudos to AEW again, but don't know what the hell's going to happen with Ronda Rousey in AEW. Now, Continental Classic or Continental Championship match, no time limit. Moxley, Takeshita. This was a match that's been brewing for so long. And this was a match, to be quite honest with you, that I think a lot of people was expecting. Something to happen that didn't. Anyway, it is really interesting. A lot of people, to be honest with you, a lot of people expected Konosuke Takeshita to pick up the victory in this, me included. To be honest with you, I don't think anyone in the podcast prediction league had John Moxley walking out of this the champion. It may have made sense though, because I'll get back to that in a minute. However. What an ending. So if you're going to end this match and you're going to pull off so John Moxley picks up the victory, by the way, is a big surprise. I don't think we were kind of expecting the end of the Death Rider soon, people to turn on Mox, and maybe that's still going to happen, but it doesn't happen today. And the fact that he beat Konosuke Takeshita was a big shock. I don't think anyone as I said, I don't think anyone in the podcast prediction league predicted it. Um, it was crazy. It took what did he hit now? There was so many different. So he took a sheer drop Death Rider, followed by an avalanche Death Rider. They kicked out of that, and then succumb and passed out to the Bulldog choke, which I thought was crazy. But I'm going to say that word again. However, because we haven't finished with returns, folks. Oh no, Jesus. Moxley offered the handshake to Kateshida, who just basically changed his mind, actually. He wasn't going to. Then he did. And then Moxley bows to each other, so it was nice. And then Moxley goes out to celebrate with the group that is the Death Riders. Then the lights go off, and we see yet another video package for the aerial assassin, Will Ospreay. Um, Ospreay takes off the oxygen mask, lets out a big roar off the screen. Lights come back on at that point, and maybe that was just a prologue. The Death Riders are like, well, is he back? What's going on? Boom. Elevated hits. Osprey comes out and he is not in a mood. He's gone out there for blood and he is going crazy. He hits Mox with the hidden blade. Garcia and Yuta try to try to stop him, but they get taken out. There's a corkscrew moonsault, which is poetry in motion, really. Apps crazy. And he goes for the Tiger Driver on Mox, and Moxley finally escapes. But Will Ospreay back in AEW. Oh, all in, just got a whole lot better, folks. But great to see it. Incredible moment. Returns are plenty. We've had three matches and three returns. Well, one says return slash debut, really, for Ronda Rousey. But Will Ospreay is back. Now, my only question to all of this, because the Death Riders have been somewhat tweeners recently. And it's like, are they now heel again? Are they face? What's going on? Is Osprey heel? I don't know. But it's so great to see Will Osprey back, and I really enjoyed it. Really, really did. It's great to see him back. I'm hoping he's really healthy and set on what's going to be another hellacious trip in AEW. But Osprey's back, everybody, and the Death Riders are in trouble. Now, we said earlier on, Willow Nightingale pulling double duty. She's defended the TBS title successfully earlier on, and now was defending the tag championships with Harley Cameron, albeit an injured Willow Nightingale, against Megan Bayne and Lana Cross. So no surprises here when I say we have new AEW Women's Tag Team Champions. They hit a double choke slam on Willow for the win. We thought this was going to happen a couple of weeks ago on Dynamite when the unfortunate Penelope Ford's injury, you know, scuppered that. I would say Lena Cross and Megan Bayne look more intimidating as a team. They're tall, they're built, they've got a lot of power to them. They look amazing. Not that Penelope Ford doesn't look amazing, but in terms of stature and the visual of Megan Bayne and Lena Cross just comes across a bit more. Than it does with Penelope Ford. Nothing to say against Penelope Ford. She's a great worker, and hopefully she's injury free very, very soon and back on AEW television. But what does that mean for Penelope Ford? Will they keep her in the team? Will they kick her out of the team? Don't know. But what we do know for certain, new AEW Women's Tag Team Champion. So congratulations to Megan Bayne. Finally, we did keep saying it has to happen. It's happened. And her and Lana Cross are now Women's Tag Team Champions. Again, you look at that position of that match on that show and you're thinking, Jesus, how do I top it? Do you know what I mean? Coming off of the big return from Will Ospreay, coming off a great match between Takeshita and Moxley. The position of that match was very tough. And you're sandwiched in between Brody King and Swerve Strickland. Another great match. I don't think it mattered. I think I'm not quite sure it mattered who lost, if that makes sense, because I think they'd still look strong. It's exactly what happened. Um, Brody is super over, by the way. Super, super over with the crowd. He, I don't know what's going to happen when Buddy Matthews gets back. Buddy Matthews doesn't return, by the way. There was rumors of it, but he didn't. I don't quite know. Sorry, I don't quite. I've lost my trail of thought. I don't quite know what happens when he does return. Brody King has cemented himself as one of the best pound for pound singles athletes in AEW right now. The match was brilliant. And again, I've said this before on shows, and I've said, like, I don't mind needing more than one finisher in some instances. I always go back to Undertaker and Kane at WrestleMania when it took Undertaker three tombstones. You understood it. Kane was a monster. One was probably never going to be enough. So the finish of this, after some great action, by the way, Swerve took 3 house calls for Swerve to beat Brody King. I don't mind that. I'm fully, when you've got someone like Brody King, one was probably never going to be enough. You had to put the guy down, and they managed to do it. It was a cleanish win. Nana did get involved a few times, but it was a cleanish win for Swerve, which cements himself as probably one of the top heels in AEW. Now, again, here's that word. However, here we go again, guys. They were going to put a cinder block in the ring, and Swerve climbs on the top turnbuckle to hit probably house call or another stomp. Here he comes again. However, the music of the cleaner, Kenny Omega, hits, and the cleaner is back, and they get out the ring pretty quickly. Swerve and Nana does. But I do like Swerve's menacing laugh. Menacing? Is that a word? Maniacal. That's the word. Laugh on the outside of the ring. Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. Kenny Omega back. Sheesh. Fuck. You look at where are they going to fit these guys? Where are they going to? Who's going to lose time now? Tony, get another show. Jesus. Incredible though. Absolutely incredible. Omega's back as well. Can't wait. I felt sorry for the women's matches on this show because, excuse me, each and every one of them was sandwiched in between a crazy return. And it's exactly what happens next because we go to Feckler and Statlander, 2 out of 3 falls for the Women's World Championship. And again, I just feel because you have that and then you're coming off of that into, and then you've got to deliver, which, by the way, they absolutely do deliver. I do believe now, so Feckler wins this 2-1. I do believe this now after a successful title defense. Statlander's now out-ish of the picture of the women's championship picture anyway. Um, who's next for the Austrian? I don't know. Um, what I would say is it was rather slow paced compared to what we've seen. And what we've seen at the moment is Olympic sprinters. This was more like an Olympic runner, probably because of the 2 out of 3 full element as well. Not that it was a bad thing, by the way. um, Yeah, well, definitely not that it was a bad thing to have that after trying to catch your breath throughout the majority of these contests. Did take a second stomp from Fekla, but she gets the job done and she wins. I don't think it was ever in question that one. If I'm honest with you, I think that was always going to be the case with Fekla. She wasn't going to lose her first championship match, one of the first defenses anyway. That's for sure. Although Collision, when Statlander made a whipper and not phase it, probably could have been a bit more like, oh, we're going to see a change. Fekla deserves a run at this championship, and we're going to get it. So we're all here for it, that's for sure. Right, trios action now. Don Callis family, Okada, Fletcher, and Davis. What a trio that is. Kevin Knight, Mystico, and Speedball Bailey. As the match went on, it got better and better and better. I can never get tired of Speedball Bailey kicking the shit out of opponents that are bigger than him. I think it's fantastic. I really, really do. Um, you could imagine this match, fast paced, full of incredible moves. Really, really, really good. Exciting. Fletcher, I'm surprised he's in tag act. I really think Fletcher should be looking towards the AEW World Championship, but he's here right now in the trip. He was teaming with Okada. They've been teasing a lot of splits with Okada and Takeshita as well. That has yet to materialize. It's probably something a bit like the Death Riders. It's burning in the background. Or maybe now Will Ospreay's back. If he beats Mox, they dismantle the Death Riders. Maybe that's a claw. Maybe that's a stipulation incoming. Don't know. But back to this hell of a trios match, And it was Kevin Knight, who really is a man of the moment in AEW right now. You know, he's come out of nowhere, really. He hits Mark Davis with the UFO splash, and Mystico and Jet Speed are the new trio championships. Not long after dropping them, really. They dropped him with Hangman Adam Page. Mystico now wins it back. And Schiavone made a great point. Mystico is a trio champion in two different countries. And to even more better news, Mystico is now all elite, folks. To add to the other 4 million guys on the roster, Mystico is added as well. Wow. Absolutely wow. One of the matches that I was really looking forward to tonight was Bandido and Andrade El Idolo. And oh boy, did it deliver. Oh Jesus. This was absolutely outstanding. Excellent chemistry. Considering it's their first time one-on-one. Now that's the key point. We've seen matches one-on-one where it just doesn't work. And you're like, on paper it sounds good, they don't deliver. First time one-on-one, chemistry was off the charts. There was a deadlift 21 plex on this, which was incredible from Bandido. Um, Obviously, there's a bit of distraction in there as well from on this from the baddies, but oh yeah, the ones at ringside around Andrade that always meddling with him. But I don't think you can get a bad match out of either of these two. I really, really don't. They hit home run. I thought Moxley and Takeshita was the match. Takeshita was the match of the night until this match come on, and then this one just blew it out of the water. Incredible, absolutely incredible. Andrade did win with a DM from the second rope. It's always a throwback to Charlotte Flair, that one. Um, Hits the well, no, the DM Kaiser more than him, but anyway, he hit the DM from the second rope to pick up the victory on that. It was fantastic. Now, the match before the main event was always going to be difficult, and this was Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, Roddy Strong against the Dogs, Finley, Connors, and Gabe. Um, it was a brawl from bell to bell, and I liked it. It was something different. We had like this technical, high flying showcase. We know we're gonna get fucking hellacious crap in the main event. So to have this, not crap in a bad way, but this brawl that these six were having were awesome. Connors hit Darby Allin with a suicide spear and landed on his neck. It was gruesome, absolutely gruesome. I was expecting this match, the Dogs to win this quite quickly, to be honest with you. I'm glad that they didn't. Tony Schiavone, you're a legend for dropping the F bomb, by the way. We all loved it. It was tremendous. Um, the ending of this, though, Clark Connors was, I mean, he was eating the fence from Roderick Strong and Cassidy, and then Strong hit end off heartache, sorry, for the victory, and Orange Cassidy picked up the win. Slight criticism on this. The Dogs are relatively new. I know Roddy Strong's only just come back, but the Dogs are relatively new. Well, they are new as a trio, pretty new as teams in AEW. They've eaten a lot of defeats, and I know I mention this a lot, and I know you're probably gonna get bored with that, but they've eaten a lot of defeats, and I don't know. Got to start picking up victories, Tony, for these to be taken seriously, and you've got to take these three seriously as well. So I don't know. Well, anyway, enough of all of that because guess what time it is? Main event time. The Texas Death Match, the last shot for Hangman Adam Page to become AEW World's Champion. Interesting here. Hangman Adam Page gets a custom entrance. And he's kind of in his speciality, the death match, really, isn't he? But world champion himself starred in a vignette dressed as a cowboy, even doing the accent and riding a horse, and symbolically marking Hangman's grave with piss. Yes, piss. Um, it was um brutal, Absolutely exploding table for fuck's sake. I thought that was it. When they went for that, I could have I had double count out in my head. I thought, well, that's it. That's a way of kind of getting Hangman still in the title picture and all of that sort of stuff. So that's how I thought they were going to get there. When that hit, I was like, there's your end. But no, absolutely not. Um, I don't know. I really don't know. There was a bit in this where Hammond had his face smashed into the camera near the end, and it had like the camera had blood smeared on it. That's an iconic shot right there. You know, we remember when Austin was bleeding in the sharpshooter and the camera went round and you saw this crimson mass on his face. This is kind of like the iconic shot that AEW need for their history books. You know, when you peel back and start looking at over the years, hopefully I'm going to be around another 20 years to see AEW, you know, and you look through the history books and you see there's an iconic shot right there of, you know, it smeared the lens of his blood. That will need to go down. But the closing stretch of this match, with that included, I think goes down as probably the best closing stretch in AEW history so far. They had a syringe spot. They did. They did. They did. They did. They did. But they had to make it gorier than that, and I think they've done that. Now the end. So MJF blocks the lariat attempt with a forearm strike, chokes a Adam Page with the dog collar chain, and he collapses. And Bryce Rensburg, yeah, counts to 10. MJF picks up the victory. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What happens to Adam Page now? Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Um, what's next for Adam Page? I don't know. I really don't know. Um, we'll have to find out this week on Dynamite. But overall, Revolution was top to bottom brilliant. And AEW knocked these out of the park. My AEW, by the way, for anyone here in the UK that wants to watch, you know, I mean 12.99, I think it works out. You get everything. Think about it. I know we get, you know, Dynamite and that for free, but if you get my AEW, you can watch it before Friday. Think about it. Andrade, Mox, and Takeshita Andrade Bandito were incredible. Both of them matches would fall into a category of match of the year. I mean, AEW's match of the year list is going to be like the Yellow Pages. It's going to be so long. Returns on this perfectly set up as we head into the summer. Omega, Copeland, and Christian Osprey. The Ronda Rousey one, I don't really quite know where it happens. But nevertheless, incredible. Kudos to AW once again for putting on an amazing show as we head to Dynamite this coming Wednesday. So much is going to be going on, and the only way you can see it, HBO Max as well over here, ITV4 or my AEW. So get it downloaded, get it subscribed. That's coming to be my usual catchphrase now. If you watch all my other shows, get downloaded, get it subscribed, and get that opportunity to watch everything for 12.99 a month. We'll be back. This is the start of the week, folks. It's coming, and Avalanche's shows are coming. Like it or lump it. Like it. If you don't like it, unsubscribe because it's happening. We've got interviews dropping, we've got review shows dropping all week long. Until later on, everybody, stay elite, stay safe, and goodbye.